Sukoi Garbode, and welcome to Cassus Café. I'm here with Kli'nah,
Hello.
Captain,
Hey.
and Tykoth. And this week we're going to be talking about Ahsoka episode 6. We only have 2 more episodes left, and this episode was kind of interesting. It's an interesting episode.
Oh,
Interesting episode. I don't want to give too much away at the very beginning. But so
I was right. That's what I'm just gonna say. I was right.
let's do our patented initial thoughts, and then we can get into the meat of stuff. So I'm gonna start with Captain this time.
Okay. So I was right. Okay. So yes, the big thing that came with this episode, just as predicted, Thrawn showed up. That was my expectations with this one. And looking at the episode as a whole, kind of went where I was expecting it to, based off the tone and the pace of the previous episodes. I've kind of figured episode 6 was just gonna be that grand reveal, that meeting, getting to the other galaxy. Now, I will say, some of the cool things seeing was that explanation of where this planet was. I won't go into details, but say that for later. But just where they were, I was like, okay, they're tying some things in, explain some things. Overall, though, I would say it was a pretty neat episode. Not too many complaints. Save those for later. I liked it.
Nice. All right. Let's do Tykoth next.
All right. I have unbelievably positive feelings about this episode. By far my favorite of all of Ahsoka, like infinitely by far. So many things that pertain to my interests, especially some character moments in particular. And the reveals are great. Love the reveals, but there's just some really cool little things that are particular to me that I love in addition to all those great things. So it's just like a really perfect episode for me.
Nice. And Kli'nah?
I unapologetically love all but one scene of this episode and like a few little tiny things here and there, but like awesome episode. Totally into it.
Yeah, so for me, I might have the more level-headed approach, I think, to this episode, but that being said, it is my favorite episode of the season. It's really cool. I stand with Tykoth with a lot of what he might have to say about it. And yeah, it's really good. I think it surpasses last episode by a lot.
I think so. Yeah, I think by a considerable margin for me. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few things that we'll get into later that I was just like, really, come on, kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had so much, like, I wouldn't say fun, but so much more interest in rewatching this one than I did the last one. And I could probably rewatch it again. It's just it's really good. So yeah, so let's get into it without any further ado. So
is the first scene that you didn't like the opening scene, Kli'nah?
No.
Oh, okay.
I thought the opening stuff with Ahsoka and the Star Whale and stuff was actually really neat.
So,
it's kind of funny for me that it is my favorite, but it has almost no Ahsoka in the episode.
Maybe that's why you like it so much.
Probably for me too.
Treatment, the Disney Star Wars TV show treatment, where it has an episode where the main character is barely in it, or the title character is barely in it.
Yeah. But see, I watched this show, and I'm like, I don't care about Ahsoka, and it's more along the lines of Rebel Season 5 anyway.
Definitely.
So it didn't throw me off, or I didn't pick that up on that much at all.
This episode really confirms Rebel Seasons 5 more than any other.
This show kind of just makes me feel like they were like, we're gonna make a show with Ahsoka. We're gonna call it Ahsoka. And then like when we started writing the script, we're like, title doesn't really work anymore, but we'll just keep it because, people will come for Ahsoka's name.
Well, I think it's the opposite. I think they wrote the show and they couldn't come up with a good name, so they just thought, you know what? We'll put Ahsoka on there. People know who she is.
That could be it too.
Because no one knows who Thrawn is unless you've watched Rebels.
Yeah, I honestly think I think they could have titled it just Rebels something. Whatever it might be. Rise of Thrawn or something, but
let's clarify this. People will know who Thrawn is if they didn't watch Rebels. They won't know any of the Rebels characters.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't know what's going
on. They may not necessarily know Rebels Thrawn, though.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Like what's happening with him and stuff.
You may know of Thrawn from the old EU canon, but you may not know Disney.
Yeah.
Thrawn.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to say, because as far as I know, his only presence has been made outside of the books of his own trilogy that if you didn't read, is in Rebels.
It's good.
TV show for kids. So.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, the Star Whale stuff in hyperspace, I still have my reservations about organic things jumping to light speed, but it was still cool looking.
Yeah.
It's also very pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way hyperspace looks around the whales. Like it has a different look to it than like a ship would. The little rainbow like effects, really neat.
And
that would make sense if it's more organic.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as like calculated in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know how much I really care for the conversation between Huyang and Ahsoka. I mean, it's fine, but it's just kind of like exposition for no real
lore bits. I think that
not
makes
too much.
To be honest, I wouldn't mind a shorts where Huyang just tells us the stories that he would tell the Jedi younglings. Like, I think that'd be pretty cute.
Well, you honestly just give him a series, and every episode is just a story.
She's still got more. She's still got more personality in this scene than some of the earlier ones. So
yeah, she's still a little bit stoic though, but it's better than it was.
But then after that, it gets everything gets great.
Good.
Yeah. What did you think about the little Huyang in a galaxy far, far away?
I rolled my eyes.
Yeah, I kind of did too. It was like whatever, but
it's kind of fun.
Kli'nah thought it was cute.
It's kind of fun. Nothing crazy.
When he first started saying it, I'm like, please don't say the second part. Like, I think you're going to. Don't say it. And you said it. You said it.
I was like, I was ironically going like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's pointing at the TV and he's like, he said it. He said the thing.
He said it. He said it. Yeah. We get the whistle.
Yeah. But then so we're back on the planet with Sabine
and Balin.
Yeah.
And man, does Balin get some good parts this episode.
Oh yeah.
He has some great
amazing presence.
He has some amazing dialogue.
Yeah.
Like incredible dialogue and thoughts, and we'll get into that in the other scene. But yeah, he just has this like real menacing, and we find out some motivations later, and it's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes out of hyperspace, that looked really cool. The lightning kind of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. Like they made hyperspace look different than usual. I wonder if it's because they're going to a different galaxy or something. They tried to make
like maybe
is it because it's intergalactic travel? That's what my thought was.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's interesting how different it looks. I guess I didn't really. I thought that was just the whales, but I kind of forgot about that it was on their ship as well.
Yeah.
Different color on the ship compared to the whale, but it was still different than normal hyperspace travel.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Really, I like that next bit though, where they make the jump and they talk about the lore of like the dead whales there. I think that's kind of interesting world building for me, anyway.
So this starts one of my this scene starts one of my issues I have with this episode. So it's a lore thing. So here we go. I'm not gonna take too long. But I'm kind of over the Dathomir witches. One because they're even further retconning stuff from the original EU when it comes to the Dathomir witches, which they've already destroyed, and they're just kind of adding on to it. And I'm just like, this is unnecessary. Why can't this be something completely extra galactic? We have no prior connection with. Why does it have to be an ancient ancestors planet to the Dathomir witches? Just I don't understand. To me, it makes no difference if it's that or something else.
The execution of the witches, though, is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, they look cool. The part they play is neat. But
yeah,
just the whole concept of this planet that they're going to being an ancient homeworld of the Dathomiri race is just. It's like, whatever.
And that's the whole point of the Disney canon, was so they could do what they want, though.
Yeah, I mean, and they kind of are, but they're taking a concept, like the Dathomir witches, in Legends, and then they're taking that and they're completely rewriting everything about them.
So you want them to do whatever they want, as long as it doesn't interfere with the old EU.
I want them to do something different, do something new. Like these characters that they've come up with the Rebels characters, that was different, that was new, and that was fun. This is like, once again, taking something out of Legends and completely adding onto it, changing it in just unnecessary ways. And I'm not saying it's not cool in the context, it's neat, it's just, I wish they had done something new, something not connected to something that's in the Star Wars galaxy, since it's extra galactic. They could have, if they wanted to do EU stuff, they could have had Vong or something else out here.
Would you rather had this main villain not be Dathomir witch connection in any way?
No, she's fine because she's from the galaxy. Because
it makes sense to have it if she is, though. It makes sense for like her connection to be with them.
Yeah, I guess, but she could also have been like sensing something dark from a different galaxy that wasn't witches, just because she's attuned to that stuff. So to me, it just doesn't make a difference whether it was something new or not, which I guess people would be like, then why are you complaining about it? But
yeah,
I just wish it was something different. That's my problem, is they keep bringing stuff in from the EU when they could totally do something different, something new. And this is just another case for that.
I think I like the EU stuff just because it's fun to like see it in different ways, but I get it.
Yeah.
They just have such a wealth of stuff that they can pull from.
Yeah, but it's also a testament to how unoriginal some of it is. I don't know. But that's just that. I make it sound like a bigger deal than it really is to me. I just wanted to bring that up. That's one of my smaller issues I had.
Small issue when he ranted on for about 5 minutes.
There's bigger issues, so
I really like the witch storyline in Clone Wars. I thought it was interesting, but I've always wondered, how's this work in live action? That could be kind of interesting, but it also could be hocus pocus level cheesy.
Well, I can tell you they are not doing it that way.
No,
they are handling it okay.
I was so not expecting or shocked by how well they do it. Like, I just think that they're genuinely pretty terrifying, really, really menacing, and not corny at all.
No, yeah.
Maybe due to just the bright, vibrant red against those gray skies. Like, it is just a striking feeling looking at it.
And the whole like tone and visual, like the visual tone and atmosphere of this planet is really
and their music
cool.
with it too when they're around. Ooh, man.
It's really neat. That's why I kind of wish, because I think for me as some kind of, I like mystery and I like fantastical history and stuff like that. That's my favorite part of these kind of universes. So it's kind of anticlimactic to me to go to this new galaxy that we've never been to. It could be filled with all sorts of who knows what, and we're going to a planet that has connections to an already known place. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if anyone really is like that other than me, but I wish it was something more interesting, something more mysterious that we don't know or don't have any prior connection to that we could learn more about. But we do have a hint of that we can get into with Balin later, because he kind of hints at something larger that's kind of going on. But yeah, anyway, that's my take on that. But the planet is cool. And when they go to the big temple, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, Minas Tirith?
Yeah.
It looks so much like Minas Tirith. It's really neat. Which is another interesting tie to Lord of the Rings in this show, because Dave's already kind of I think he actually did confirm that it was like Ahsoka the White. It's like a reference to Lord of the Rings. So this is another interesting one that he made it look like Minas Tirith.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I thought this ship looked kind of weird. I wasn't a huge fan of this ship.
The little shuttle.
I was like, it looks kind of funny.
Which is pretty neat. They kind of take Sabine away. And
I did like them explaining that this is kind of like, I guess the Star Wheels are just like, in a way, like salmon in the Americas, where they go back to a certain point to die. It's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that would also explain like why they're there, because I always was like, to me it seemed weird that when Ezra did his little plan, like he ended up somewhere with Thrawn and no one knew where it was, but this Dathomir witch was like, I know where he is and I need a map. And I'm like, well, why do you need a map if you know where he is? You know? So it didn't make much sense to me until we got there, and it was like, okay, I know you have your upsets about the planet, but at least it made sense in terms of what they were trying to do, and saying like, oh yeah, it's this is where they go. The witch would know that because of their history, and that's why she needed a map, because she's like, I know where it is, but I need a map that gets me from our galaxy to that galaxy. I need those coordinates. So
yeah,
I was like, that part all of a sudden made a lot more sense to me. Because I was like, why is there an ancient... Because like in the first episode, I was like, why is there an ancient temple with an ancient map that has the map to Thrawn? Like, you know?
Yeah, I guess you're right. That does kind of help in...
It helps. I wish it was established a little earlier so it wasn't quite as much of a map to the guy, but
yeah.
It's not really a map to Thrawn, it's really a map to somewhere else, just so happens to be where Thrawn is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is
Because that was the whole point. I couldn't...
It is convenient, yeah.
Yeah. But that's why I couldn't wrap my head around, because I was like, why is this an ancient map to Thrawn? You know, like, and why is this one particular person trying to find it? It's like, did you lose it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because that was my initial thought. I'm like, did you lose such map? I mean,
how did Ahsoka know to find that map then?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's some things that I was scratching my head on, but at least we know that the map isn't to Thrawn per se. It's actually just here's a map how to get between Galaxy A and Galaxy B. That's really all it is. So
it feels very convenient that the Starwheel graveyard planet just so happens to also be an ancient homeworld of Dathomir.
Yeah. They kind of tried to explain it that they were the first to ride the whales, and that's how they got to the Star Wars galaxy. You know,
which kind of takes away the innocence of the Star Whales.
A little bit, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's interesting.
Well, at the same time, it would also kind of make sense to me, like, you know, weren't the witches like the same race that were able to ride the Rancor? at least maybe an old EU. I don't know about the current.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, old EU, they rode Rancors. Rancors were native to Dathomir. And the Dathomiri witches were a descendant of a crashed prison ship that crashed on Dathomir. And that's how the people that survived that, they became the Dathomir witches, and they made a matriarchy. There's different sects in the EU. There's the Night Sisters, there's the Singing Mountain Clan, there's a couple others, I think. But now in canon, there's only the Night Sisters, and they're mainly Zabraks, which that wasn't a thing. They're mainly humans in the EU. But Morgan is a human, and what's her face from the Jedi Fallen Order game? She's also a human, I believe. But yeah, so it's just changes in the lore, changes in the characters and the concept. And these people, they don't look like Zabraks, so they must also be a weird, like, humanoid thing, if not just painted up humans. I don't know.
Probably. But yeah, that was just something, at least, it gave me some, like, okay moment. It still might be far-fetched, but at least they didn't leave your head scratching. Or at least as of episode 6, it answered me some questions.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we go, after they put Sabine away, we go to this scene with Valen and Jin.
For the first of a couple really amazing ones. I just love how gray he is. I've been waiting for a good character like this. He's very clearly not a villain, especially in this scene. I love when she asks and she's like, "Won't we finally have power?" And he's like, "Oh, that doesn't really matter," or whatever. Like that's fleeting. He's after something so much like deeper and more meaningful.
He's trying to say like that power you're gonna grab, that's gonna go away because it's this cycle that keeps going back and forth over and over again.
It's finally not this like just typical evil villain for the sake of being evil, and Thrawn isn't that either, of course, but he's just so interesting being a Force wielder and previous Jedi. To think this way is so interesting. He has a quote later on that I just found really impactful. But man, is
it about the order?
Yeah.
About like when she asks him if he misses it, he goes,
"Yeah, I miss the idea of it. I feel that to my core about many things personally."
It is a relatable thing, very much so. Yeah, I could think of various things in the real life that I could feel the same way about.
Yeah, that you don't actually miss the thing, you just miss how you felt when you were part of the thing.
Or
whatever
what it was trying to be.
Or yeah, you may not believe in it or you may not think it anymore, but like whatever it was, like you miss. Yeah,
like,
you miss.
He may have liked the Jedi Order for what it was meant to be, but not what it was when it fell.
Right.
That's what I got from him.
Like, yeah, you can feel how he understands the naivety of what they were doing. In my opinion, the naivety of what they were trying to do.
The Jedi that fell were not the same Jedi that were back during, let's say, the Old Republic era. Or
much different.
Their mindset had gone a completely different direction. So I think he was thinking like, I miss the idea of the Order, but that was not actually there.
Yeah. He's just both of them are bringing such complexity to their characters that none of the heroes quite have. It's amazing. He's so good.
It's also really neat because there does seem to be this kind of growing like schism between him and her. It's subtle, but she seems a little bit more Sith. Like Sithy than he is.
Yeah,
she wants power, and he's like, I want something more grand.
Yeah.
Like
he has a vision for a bigger future. He's kind of like a Darth Bane, and
she has not had the experience of. She has not seen the experience of watching things rise and fall, and he has. So he realizes like power is so futile, and she's young, impressionable. So she's like,
and naive.
She's naive. Yeah. I really hope that. Well, I guess never mind. He's gone. That's so sad. He's probably
Yeah.
gonna. This is all we're gonna get of him. But what could have been, man? Whew.
I mean, the only thing, if he's not like taken out of the show somehow, then maybe they'll recast him, find somebody to recast him. But it would not be the
Recast him
same.
with AI.
I'd be very
That's
heartbroken.
gonna be a hard
Yeah.
sell to recast
Yeah,
because he himself has just brought so much of the character
for sure.
to
Mhm.
so
His voice, his mannerisms, yeah, it's too bad. But yeah, great. One of two great scenes with him.
yeah, that's what I'm trying. I guess what I'm trying to say with him is that the way his presence in this show is amazing. Like there's something about him, particularly about how he's playing this role. You
Mhm.
know, there's being an actor, and then there's being an actor like this. You know, he's doing a
Yeah.
fantastic job at it.
It's almost Alec Guinness in that it has just like a really authoritative presence that you're just like, okay, Dad, I'll listen to you.
Yeah.
Okay,
And-
whatever you say.
And
It's-
I like how they've made him to be somewhat smart, right? Where
Yeah.
later he's talking to when Thrawn first shows up, and you know the Dathomir witch is like, "Oh well, you know it was his idea," and he's like, "I thought that we could have some use for her," and then Thrawn's like, "Okay, who's this? Oh, Sabine." Yeah, you're right. We have much use for her. You
But
know, and
we haven't gotten there yet, but yeah.
Sorry, but
Yeah.
that kind of goes back to that point that he's very complex of a character, and he's not just the typical
Yeah.
brainless bad guy.
Man, they look so good.
I know, and he looks like just pure from a visual standpoint, he just looks cool too.
The entire tone of this episode was
Yeah,
spot on.
but
Like it
but
felt,
it's,
it felt so good.
yeah,
The eeriness, the mysteriousness. It feels like there is something silent and watching in the background of all
Mhm.
these shots. You know what I mean?
yeah. There's some other stuff, but really the next big thing is the thing.
It was so kind of funny to me. Like, is she actually like legitimately about to push this door open? And then and then and the whole place starts shaking and we get the grand reveal of the Chimera.
Yeah,
And
I thought that was neat.
Sickest freaking shot in the taking this whole
Ye-
episode.
Yeah, I think it's neat how they keep playing with her, and as long as it's, I feel like it'd be cool if they just never amount to anything though, and she doesn't ever get it.
Yeah.
I think it's really neat, but
One thing to note is that I guess she does have enough of the Force in her for the witches to be able to sense that she is a Jedi. Like she has
That's true.
enough in her for them to sense it,
Maybe.
which
I
is
was like-
one thing I noticed.
well, or is this a red herring? Are they actually referring to Balin, who's maybe not truly as dark as everyone thinks he is,
oh,
and they just think
No.
it's her because she's the one in handcuffs?
I don't think so.
I don't think Dave's that deep.
Because I think if these witches are supposed to be this amazing, they're not going to make that simple of a mistake.
they never saw her in the visions. That's
They just
something else
said-
I kind of think about.
Yeah, they didn't. That's the thing. They were vague about that. But later, they particularly call out Ahsoka, which I found interesting. So,
Mhm.
is
The-
it
the
good?
the only part I found really disappointing about this reveal was the whole time I was thinking, dang it, Captain's right, and I'm gonna be wrong. And I'm eating my words. Dang it. I want to see
Also-
him, but also I want to be right. Dang it.
Also, I think I'm right about what the Eye of Scion's for. I think it's a giant hyperspace ring for the Chimera, because you see the Chimera is only using its sublight engines,
Yep,
because one of them's busted.
all
Yeah.
busted.
Yeah, I mean,
All three main have a
all
hyperdrive.
three aren't on, but at least the far left one is busted, for sure.
I think that has to be from the damage from the battle, and it's been a while since I saw that episode, but
Mhm.
it seems like the damage is consistent. So,
Yeah.
but yes, I like how the shot just reminds
Oh yeah, yeah. The
you-
middle one is busted too.
It just reminded me briefly, a Star Destroyer is massive.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very easy to lose scale of a Star Destroyer. especially
In
when it's
space
in
and all that,
space
yeah.
and you have no point of reference. But when it's on a planet, boy, does it remind you how big it is. I wish we had more shots like this, because when you have a point of reference, you go, oh, that's
Yeah.
big, you know?
And
What
that's
what
just-
an incredible sequence. Just the landing part. That's it.
Oh,
Like just that alone.
Yep. And it just goes to show how big those star whales were that jettisoned it
Oh.
off, because there was like 3 of them that grabbed onto the Star Destroyer and yep.
I just
Yeah.
remembered another thing I didn't like. It's about to come up here.
Oh yeah.
You,
Um,
you didn't like something about this scene?
Yes, I
Uh-oh.
will tell you when we get to it.
Wow.
Curious.
so,
I mean,
yeah,
we're
I
here.
know
We're
what
at,
it is. I
we're
think
at we're at the reveal.
Yeah. So
This
she doesn't like
stupid
the stormtrooper.
stormtrooper's face. Like, what is
don't
wrong with
like
that?
it?
I don't like it. The
She-
weird gold guy whose
I think it's
helmet it has
freaking
like
sick.
I think
all
it's
of
like one of the
the
coolest things
things in
we've ever
it.
seen.
I
Yeah.
don't like it. It's so creepy.
It's very
That's-
Greek.
That's why I like it, is because it's
I
so
was like,
like
this gave me Roman Centurion vibes.
Yeah.
stormtroopers have become so notoriously, to me, like a comedic thing. Like they're not like a tool of fear at all.
Yeah.
And when I see a
love the
stormtrooper-
stormtroopers. This
This is like a sacrilege to her. 'cause
yeah,
she
it
likes the
looks like they
stormtroopers.
cut apart
Do you
part
like-
of his mask and then put a Halloween mask in its place.
Do you like
But
them
you
to
have
be like not
understand,
scary?
They've been cut
Stranded.
off. Yeah, they've been stranded for years.
At least
This is
That's fine. I
10.
still don't like it.
10 years.
It makes sense that they had to do with what scraps they could find. Originally, it
yeah,
didn't
but
make
he's
sense
the
to
only
me.
one like that. I don't like it.
Well, maybe his helmet got caved in and he had no choice.
No, I think he's special case. I think
I
he's
think
definitely
he's
a special
like-
case because he's like the captain.
Yeah.
He's like
Yeah.
the bodyguard of Thrawn now and stuff. So
No, I love how intense he is and how
No.
disturbing they all look. Like it's
Yeah.
finally like seems like some intimidating stormtroopers.
The
I hope that
other
they're
ones
also,
I'm
like, more
okay with.
tough.
Even the weird like wrappings all around them, I'm okay with. It's that one mask that I don't like.
if you think about it, they've had 10 years of being who knows what happened to them, right? You know, it's basically 10 years of survival training. Let's just say for 10 years for the sake of a number.
I don't know if we can get Kli'nah on the same page. I don't think that there's
No.
any.
I
There's
know,
no.
but
There's no
nothing you
reason. She just doesn't like it.
Well, that's just your subjective opinion.
yes.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But to me, I liked it because originally I was confused, but later in the episode, I started making the connections, and I was like, okay. But originally,
Right.
I was like, what on earth? I mean, I don't remember Thrawn's troopers having special badging. That was my original thought. And then I looked closer and I realized there was a lot of wrappings and crackings, and I was like, okay. Yeah, they're just trying to keep whatever they got banished with, working essentially.
Mhm.
So it makes sense
Honestly,
to me. I never
surprised
would
how
have guessed.
many stormtroopers there still were. Because I didn't think there'd be that many still.
You would be surprised how many could be on a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Because usually
And that's
Star
why-
Destroyers, I believe, because the Empire never really considered there to be any major naval threat to them when they built their fleet. Which is why they're built the way they are, and they tend to have a lot more space for, I think, ground assault. So I think a lot of Star Destroyer's standard complements, including TIE fighters and such, included things like AT-STs, AT-ATs, and certain amounts of ground troops with them. So
It is kind of neat to see that old technology because obviously they don't have access to anything new that came up.
yeah, they had whatever was pre-Galactic War.
Yeah.
I can't believe we haven't talked about Thrawn yet.
I
We're getting
will
there.
say-
Well, because the stormtroopers were the first thing you see before Thrawn walks out.
Yeah.
Thrawn is as cool as everyone's hyped him up to be for me.
Yeah, because he is that cool.
Except for his eyes. His eyes aren't supposed to have pupils. But
Rolls
besides that,
eyes.
he is so cool.
His presence is really good too. Did they get the voice actor? From...
Yes.
It's the same
From
voice
Rebels.
actor.
Same voice actor from Rebels. It's Lars Mikkelsen.
Okay, so that explains why he sounds so much like Thrawn, because he is Thrawn.
Yeah,
But not just in I'm not in terms of just like his voice, but his mannerisms, the way he speaks. Because trust me, when he walked up, I was like, all right, I'm getting ready to judge Thrawn. Like, did they get this right? And they so did.
It's awesome. I'm so pumped to have like 2 quote unquote villains who are now like really complex. Because and I hope we'll see more of Thrawn as he goes about. But I'm hoping they make him out as complex of a person as he is. It seems like it so far.
I do like how he can't really be pushed around. He like Morgan suggested something, and he's like, no. My plan will suffice. Two squadrons. But yeah, so I have maybe a little bit controversial opinion on Thrawn.
Here we go.
Already?
I will preface.
You just want your Benedict Cumberbatch.
I will preface that he does a good job in the acting of everything, presentational wise, character wise, like how he acts and stuff, really good. And it was cool seeing him on screen. I just don't think he looks like Thrawn to me. It's not as bad as, say, Cad Bane or the Grand Inquisitor. Those two are like the worst when it comes to making them look like the actual characters from the show. But I really think they could have done a little bit better with the casting. Honestly,
he looks
like.
I think it's good that they kept the voice actor on.
He does. I mean, he sounds like the one from Rebels, which is fine. He sounds great. It's just and he looks like, old enough, to be the age he's supposed to be. It's just, I don't think putting any famous actor into the other famous actor into the role would help it really, because it's not about like, my issue isn't that I recognize it.
It's not the visual.
Yeah. It's not that I recognize it. It's just like, I just don't feel like he encapsulates the Thrawn look from anything that I've known Thrawn from.
You complain when they don't bring in the voice actors to do their green part, and then you complain when they do. You're never happy.
You're never happy. It's a case by case basis, and they just don't. They're not getting it right most of the time. No. I have a really surprising opinion about something later on that you'll probably like, maybe, hopefully. But no, it's like I said, it's not as bad as I was expecting it to be. It's just still not great, and I'm kind of a little bit, not crazy let down, but a little bit let down on how he looks. Otherwise, it's all great, and I'm super excited to see him, and I can't wait to see what else.
You want them to throw some de-aging that you wish that they didn't use on Anakin? Is that what you want?
No, I don't. Like I said, he looks the age he should be. Like, that's fine. I have no issues. It's just the actor, to me, doesn't look like Thrawn. Sounds like Thrawn. His mannerisms, it's similar to Hera. I don't think Mary Elizabeth Winstead looks like Hera, but she acts like Hera. She has the mannerisms. She does a good job in the role. Same thing here. It's just the look isn't there for me. Doesn't mean
when you take an animation, you bring it to live.
That's not the problem. Okay. There are people. There's really good casting of characters that are from cartoon into live action. Ahsoka's one of them. Sabina's one of them. Later on, I'll talk about Ezra is one of them. And along with a few others, but like Cad Bane wasn't. Cad Bane looked awful. The Grand Inquisitor looked awful, and this one doesn't look that awful. It's just it doesn't match the look for me.
But you're not giving anything as to why that is. I understand Cad Bane and the Inquisitor, because you could literally put up a photo side by side and go, "Yeah, that looks awful."
Because
it's not even looking right.
Because Thrawn, his head is a little bit thinner. He's more gaunt. The like his cheeks are hard and more angular. his face looks too flat. Like the actor's face is too flat, too kind of not as cut, not as like deep boned. The eyes, that is an issue with the Rebels cartoon as well. So the eyes, I can't really fault the eyes, but
Well, that's not
Thrawn's
his fault either. That's
yeah,
the editor's fault.
Well, in Rebels and in here, he has pupils. Thrawn and EU never had pupils. It's just glowing red eyes. The hair looks fine. It's just his face doesn't look like Thrawn to me. It's close, but it's not quite there.
So you had a particular image of what Thrawn should look like, and this ain't it, and therefore you're upset.
Yes, it's not like I'm super upset. I'm just trying to explain that it's just not the correct, like the most accurate version of Thrawn we could have had. There's references of Thrawn that we can take from in all sorts of pictures and media, from the EU to Rebels to new canon books and comics.
And there would be fixed with prosthetics and makeup, like they do with a lot lot of things. Because if that's
they could have,
if you could, then I wouldn't say it's an actor problem. I would say that.
I'm not saying it's an actor problem. I'm saying they probably could have done more to make him look the part.
Well, earlier you were saying about I don't think he fits the role.
No, I didn't. I said he acted it fine. I said it's just the same idea as Hera. They act it fine. They portray the character fine. They sound fine. But they don't have the look.
You make it sound like they should have cast somebody else. That's what it sounds like.
I mean, they could have, but it would still, they'd have to still make whoever they cast look the part.
So then maybe, I don't know. It sounds like you were complaining about they should have just picked a different person. It just seems silly to. Whereas, that's how it sounded. But if you're really just upset that maybe the prosthetic,
it's just another
complain about that.
Yeah, it's just another case of how they don't put enough effort into making the actors look like how they should. Like the Grand Inquisitor, for instance, he needed a thinner, longer head like Utapauans should have. We have visual reference of that in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, and I agree with you on those.
They should have.
That's failing at makeup.
Yeah, and they should have had Cad Bane look like a Duros, because we have Duros in the original trilogy that look better than Cad Bane did.
Yep, I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to Hera, it's a little different because you can't do much without extreme makeup budget to make her face fit the shape of Hera's face from the cartoon. So there's not much more you could do that. But here, I think you could have done something to pronounce his cheeks, make his jaw a little thinner, maybe his forehead a little thinner, something that make his head just seems a little bit too round for Thrawn.
It would have made him more imposing if you had the lines that you've described. I would admit that, but I didn't see anything inherently wrong. Yes, it didn't quite look like what I expected after looking after watching Rebels, but that didn't take me out of the show. Now, if you could do some, granted, I'm not a makeup expert, but I haven't seen a lot. So unlike the previous two examples where we're like, hey, we literally have live action references, you literally did a poor job. You don't have a live action reference of Thrawn, so it's a little harder to make a comparison. Now, granted, I'm not a makeup guy or done anything in special effects. They probably could have done something to make him look a little bit more.
They could 100% do makeup to make him look that way. I
think you could too.
Just puff his cheeks out a bit, make it more gaunt cheeks, more of a gaunt face.
Well, they could have changed his hairline to make him look to force the perspective of his head being thinner.
Yeah.
They could have added prosthetics to his cheekbones, and then they could have, how they do contour. Do you guys know what contour is?
Yeah.
Okay, they could have done that with, obviously it would have had to be blue shades of makeup to force the shadows to make it look like his cheeks are more pronounced and that his chin is thinner. You can do that with makeup. Women do it all the time. And on film, it's even easier to make it look real than it is in real life.
Yeah, I would. it did look like they just slapped a bunch of blue, body paint on his face, and then called it a day.
That was pretty much what I think they did, and the wig, the black hair wig.
Yeah, where they could have had blue
and the
makeup to make it.
They didn't take the time to do a proper
shadows.
aesthetic to his face and
And
try to shape him a bit better.
Yeah, and the red contacts. There doesn't seem to be any post editing in those contacts. Probably, I don't know for sure though, but
I'm sure they had to for his eyes.
But I mean, it's a little. I know we're getting a little too deep into something that I didn't really want to.
Just for reference, I like it.
Sounds good. I tolerate it.
If there's any listeners like, what does Tykoth think? I like it.
I tolerate it, and that's how I'll end that. So yeah, Thrawn, cool. It's really good. I'm excited to see what more they do with him. I am excited to see him be a total bad A.
I will say at the end of this scene, I was like, man, he's cool.
But like, he is the thing about Thrawn is he's scary, but intellectually scary. He's not power scary. He doesn't. He's not force sensitive. The thing with Thrawn is
he's the opposite of Vader in that way.
Yeah.
It's not this visual like, ooh, I'm intimidated, but like, I'm gonna feel intimidated later when you outwit me very thoroughly.
Yeah, he's the master strategist. He will defeat you in literally the most clever way possible.
And it's also the anti-villain too, to the way that Vader or somebody will get angry at something. He's never going to, right off the bat, he has no emotion with it. It's just so calculated. I mean, as he is.
Wasn't Thrawn like one of the few people that Vader actually listened to?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, in the newer Disney. Oh, well, the newer Disney ones too. They sort of got in a bit of a rivalry in the newer books.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's to be honest, I haven't read his books. I haven't had the time. I want to read the books about Thrawn.
I think they're the best Disney canon books I've read. Are the three were really good. I haven't read the Ascendancy novels, but
I haven't read any of the new canon books, but I have read the Heir to the Empire trilogy, and I've read Outbound Flight. Outbound Flight is his origin story in the EU, and it's really, really good. It kind of sets up his motivations for what he's truly about, and the only reason he joined the Empire and he's Empire Ride or Die is because he believes that the Empire is the only force that's able to withstand and repel the Vong, and his sole goal is to protect the Chiss ascendancy, which we have.
That's the same. That's the same in his in the newer Disney canon too.
Which we kind of have when it comes to the shows, when it comes to roles,
you have no idea what the ascendancy is.
No idea who Chiss ascendancy are. You have no idea what his real motivations are. For the shows, he's just a villain.
Yeah, it doesn't dive in, but his background is like more interesting than that. Yeah,
for sure. And the reason why the new canon books are still really good and say most of the same stuff the EU does is because they're written by Timothy Zahn.
And I sent you that about him using everything he could from his old storyline. Yeah.
And that he said if for whatever reason the other stories became canon again, these would fit in, like the new stuff.
Yeah, they still match up to the original or new canon, whichever.
Yeah, I haven't read them, so I wouldn't be able to tell for exactly, but that's what he said, so.
That's one of the reasons why I do like Thrawn.
Yeah.
Is his master strategist, is using his intellect to defeat his opponents. And I've always loved that, coming from my background, So, yeah, that's why I think he's one of my more favorite villains, is because of that.
Oh yeah, he's really neat.
Yeah. It kind of feels like Balin is a bit of a strategist as well, in terms of some of his mind games. So I'm very interested to see how they play off each other in the future, and what that's like, because they're both very intelligent and they both have their own motives. Yeah. Very intriguing battle there.
Yeah,
I like how they quickly got off to a good footing.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Oh, you brought Sabine." yes, this will be very useful. you know.
After this scene with Sabine and Thrawn, that's when I started rooting for the bad guys, like full force. I don't care about the good side anymore. Bad side all the way.
Sabine looks
Thrawn.
Sabine looks very cool in this episode, though. This is the best she's looked. Her outfit, her like kind of dismantled somewhat armor, and then her poncho cloak thing is. I just like that getup a lot.
Yeah.
I wish she had better hair. It can be short, but I wish it was better looking.
It looks like the cartoon. So
No.
I like it.
I wish it was like either
That's gonna be my statement. I like
or
it.
styled better.
No, there's a lot. Like, I'm the only one bringing up real like issues, but I honestly really dig this episode.
I just bring up petty issues.
by the end of this point, I was like, great, this is my favorite episode of the season. I could stop right now. And we are at around the 20-minute-ish, 25-minute mark, and I'm like, well, all right, you don't need to show me anything else. I'm good.
It was going to be your episode 8, right, for the season?
As soon as she walks, she like rides off into the plains. I'm like, man, how much more we got left? This is great. And I was like, we're only halfway through. Heck yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, it doesn't really matter what else happens. I'm good. Like I'm totally content right now. Like finally, this is what I've been wanting. And then the rest of it is so good. It's stupid.
I was like, are we about to end? And I hover over and like, oh, heck yeah, we're not. We got half an episode left.
You had all that, and then the rest of the episode was like made especially for me and what I like. After that, it's like, what does Tykoth like about Star Wars? Here you go. Everything you wanted right here.
I thought the fight scene coming up with Sabine and the rebels, or the random people, I forget what they're called.
Raiders.
The Raiders looked pretty good. I enjoyed it.
I had a bit of an issue with this fight scene, though.
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah,
apparently,
Beskar?
give in to your hate.
It's the
Is it that apparently they have Beskar?
Yeah, it's the lightsaber. I figured it would be. Yeah.
Oh, just
because she hits staff with their lightsaber, and then she hits someone else's staff with it, and then cuts it in half. It's like, is someone's Beskar and the other's not?
What? Do these people have Beskar? No, they don't.
Yeah, that's the only issue. Everything else I like about it.
Yeah, I mean, which reminded me, I forgot about it last week a bit in the episode when she flashed back to the Battle of Mandalore. She was cutting right through people. I was like, wait, so Beskar doesn't protect people during this flashback? You know, and then later it does? I'm like, how can you not keep this consistent? This is what irks me. And this is what goes back to the choreography of why I keep saying baseball bats, because that's how they use them.
Yeah,
you know?
She definitely wields it like a bat.
But she's also not like supposed to be very good at it. I mean, she's supposed to be decent at it, not good.
It does not excuse for how physics keep changing with the lightsaber. I'm sorry.
That's true.
She bounced off several people, and then at the end, she cut the staff into 3 pieces. Like, oh, so it's not on training mode anymore? Did you forget to turn a button on there? Like, good lord, it's stupid.
I really liked, though, how her facing like normal people and not somebody as competent as she has been facing. I'm like, okay, she is like pretty good. It's just that she's facing people like that are better.
Yeah.
So it's nice seeing her wail on some raiders here, and you're like, oh, okay, you're pretty proficient.
Yeah.
I was kind of bummed that she could only take out 1 raider with her pistols before she had to use the lightsaber. I mean, I was like, really? Did you forget how to be a Mandalorian already?
Yeah. We haven't seen her be truly warrior-like yet, but we're getting
Not
there.
in this show. You will if you watch
No,
Rebels.
not in Rebels, of course. A ton, yeah, but...
That's what I mean. Like, did you forget how to be a Mandalorian? Because that's what it feels like.
It's like a transition in training. She's kind of like getting rusty on her Mandalorianness, trying to get into her Jedi-ness, and it's just making her incompetent.
Yeah. I like it.
But yeah, you're not wrong about the physics. I did think that was weird. The choreography, though, is fine.
I like her creature a lot. I like that little
Yeah.
dynamic that they have is kind of fun. I like how it gets scared and she gets mad at it. Like, no, I'm not gonna take it. Like that's stuff that I look for a ton is like creature stuff. And then that's why later on in the episode I'm just like a giddy little kid again.
I didn't like that.
You don't like
It's
the other creatures, or you don't like this creature?
She doesn't like the cute doggo.
It's not that I don't like the cute doggo. I don't like that how he was introduced is like completely opposite of how the doggo thing and Sabine end up being. Like,
that's
it looked
fun.
really scary.
That's
at first,
that's
and I was
really
kinda-
fun.
Well, yeah, but like initially they kind of made it look like it was some like very dangerous, scary wolf, right?
Yeah, it seemed
And then
like it was
later
it's
something that's
acting like
really
a little-
hard to train, and then
that's why
later
it's funny.
he like trains it in 2 seconds.
Yeah, then later it's a puppy that doesn't want to leave its master. I'm like, wait, you
Because-
just met 5 minutes ago.
Because originally they like had to give it commands in like some other language, and now she's just talking to it in basic, and it understands like everything she's saying. That makes no sense.
I mean, there's a lot of things that understand basic. For
I mean,
Star Wars.
it's also a dog. Dogs don't understand English.
Exactly. So like, why is it?
But we can talk to
comprehending
dogs in
what
English
she's
all the time.
Yeah.
But they don't understand. They don't listen all the time.
Think-
Sure they
Yeah.
do. But and it doesn't listen all the time
this
either.
One. Yeah, neither does this thing. He keeps following her, even though she says stop.
Yeah, but then she tells him to like sit, stay, don't eat them, and then it doesn't.
It's like real.
'Cause she's also
dogs.
doing, yeah, she's also doing like
they
physical
know,
things to like
but-
tell him to back out down and stuff. I don't know.
I feel like
must
it
say-
should be more vicious than it's being.
I love it when
And like, why is
creatures.
it loyal to her after being with her for like 30 minutes?
I have to agree.
Have you ever
did
met a
seem
dog?
Very odd to me. I was extremely puzzled by this interaction based off of how the way they introduced it.
I mean, I can meet a stray Labrador on a street and it'll be my best friend in like
Like,
10
if
seconds.
they just introduced
Yeah.
the creature as not being as vicious and chaotic as they did, it would have been fine. But they started it off as
that's
like a really.
seeing. Yeah, it's like
But-
seeing
but-
a grizzly bear and being like, "Oh, it's actually acting like a dog." Like, it
But you
just-
can see a Rottweiler and it'll growl at you and be horribly vicious, and then 10 seconds later, after you like let it sniff your hand, it'll roll over and let you scratch its belly.
Well, yeah, maybe if you gave it food.
No, I mean I've
That's-
experienced dogs who are really hostile and then all of a sudden they're like mushes.
I've also seen some dogs that are always vicious. So
Right, but this isn't one of those. I like it. It's funny.
Okay.
It's
I didn't mind
it's
the
within
doggo.
the realm of realism.
Yeah,
This is the
It was
type of
just-
cheesy Star Wars I like. Goofy creatures doing goofy things. I
I
love
like
it.
the goofy creature. I just wish it was consistently goofy. Not
I'm
made to
ready
look
for
like
this
incredibly
mount
terrible.
to be in Tor.
Yeah, that's probably gonna happen.
I would, yeah, that'd be fun.
See, that's what I mean. This episode's interesting. There's so many different opinions about
Now,
this.
this upcoming scene.
The one with the one with Thrawn or
No, no.
after.
Oh no! Sorry, the one after that. Never mind. Let's talk about
Okay.
this Thrawn up scene first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
this
I don't
one's
really
the
have
one-
anything.
Yeah,
It's
the
cool,
short
but-
Thrawn scene I mentioned earlier, where he's like, "Send 2 squadrons," and she's like, "Why not more?" It's like, "No, 2 squadrons will be fine."
The
Oh
next
yeah,
scene.
yeah. I like
I
how
don't
he's not. There's nothing he's like intense over.
Yeah,
It's just another good Thrawn scene.
Well, yeah, well, and it goes back to Thrawn just being that calculated, calm intellect.
hmm
He's very consistent. He doesn't get low, he doesn't get high. He's just almost want to say void of emotion.
Yeah, very much. So.
But that's who he is.
He's
and
very
I like that.
controlled.
And what's interesting is this episode. It feels slow, but a lot happens.
It doesn't. It feels just right. to me.
Yeah, no,
This,
not
this
not-
one
not
feels
slow in a
feels
bad way.
very right.
Yeah, like it's not slow in a bad way to me, but there is like slower, more contemplative scenes. But
Around
there's
this
a
point-
lot that happens in this episode.
This
Around
feels like
this
a-
point, I was starting to think we are gonna get Ezra, aren't we? I was like, is this gonna happen, huh?
It was at this point when I was like, "Oh, this episode is not perfect."
We got. Oh, she doesn't like a lot of this
'Cause-
stuff with Sabine.
First,
Do you,
I just
okay?
felt like
do you
Sabine
not
was
like? Do you not like the turtles?
okay, first, okay,
Oh
First,
man!
I was
All
like-
right, get your fist out. Let's go.
okay. Before we even talk about the turtle things, I just felt
my
like
God.
Sabine was really weird in this episode. Second, then we get to the turtle things. My first reaction was, why
Choose
are they
your words
wearing
wisely.
clothes? And then I was like, okay, I guess they're part of a civilized society. But then I thought about the clothes even more. Like, how do they wear them? Because they have these shells on. Are the shells a part of them? If so, like, why are the buttons in the front if they have to, like, have a hole in the back for the shell to be attached? And if not, like, is the shell just, like, a backpack?
Can you imagine how much less adorable they'd be without clothes?
No,
just for like
imagine
a second.
Okay, I thought
Maybe
I
there's some
think I'd like
Velcro
them
back
better without clothes, or maybe even just with pants. But like the clothes.
So you're trying to sexually harass these creatures without even knowing.
But then you have Sabine talking to them, and it sounds like Sabine like is understanding what they're saying a little bit.
No.
And I'm like,
but that's like
I'm
you
like,
could say the same
that
with
doesn't make any
Ewoks.
sense. And it
don't
really bothered me.
So I don't see a single thing that Kli'nah is saying in this scene. I explained this to her when we were watching it too. Like, nowhere do I see her understanding them and them understanding her. It's like somebody coming into contact with somebody that doesn't speak their language and literally just trying to pantomime and trying to figure out what they're saying. Like, they're in a little huddle. Yeah, it's their body language. They're in a huddle talking about stuff, and she's asking the same question over and over again until they finally are like, "Come with us," motion for her to come with them. And it's there's no way.
It was that rebel symbol that they you're friendly.
Yeah.
You're the same as me. You would have that symbol too. That was.
I mean, it's fine that you don't like it. It's just there's nothing that shows that she's understanding anything or they're understanding her.
Yeah, you can not like it, but objectively speaking,
they might understand Ezra Bridger because he's with them, and he
might have said his name,
right? And they themselves were saying Ezra Bridger. You could hear them saying Ezra Bridger, so that could also be one form of connection that they were able to make. But
I'm sure he's introduced him as that many times to them. So
so like you may not be able to speak their language, but sometimes their name. You can, if they keep saying it enough times, you go, okay, that's their name, right? I can hear somebody from a different language, and if they say it enough times, I go, and especially if they point them at themselves and they only say their name, you eventually will figure out that's their name, right? So I think there's, you may not know exactly what that name means to you, right? Somebody who, for example, speaks Spanish and has a Spanish name may not necessarily understand what something means in English, but they may know that's their name, right? If you say that enough times, so and vice versa. But which they really did a good job at that. The fact that it took them a while to get to that point, it wasn't easy.
Maybe it's just that at this point Sabine's going insane because she keeps talking to things that don't understand her.
I mean, what's her other choice?
Right.
Exactly.
So then we get to this next Balin scene. Balin and Shin.
I do super quick. I do just love. They're not like always practical in their things. There's like some CG involved sometimes, but where it is practical and puppetry, so cool, so good. Reminds me of I just love that, and the way.
They looked good. Sorry.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of movement going around. It doesn't just feel like these really static. There's different joints, different fingers. They're awesome, and I'm all about like the little not harmful Star Wars creatures. It's just like so fun because that's like the first Star Wars I ever watched was of course A New Hope, and the first aliens we get introduced to really are Jawas, and so I'm just really partial to like that type of short, innocent, possibly like maybe a little nefarious, but pretty innocent guys. So I just really love that. Feels like Star Wars to me.
Yeah. Now we get to
turtles.
this. Yeah. Then we get to this Balin and Shin scene that we kind of talked about earlier.
Yeah. Really, really great. I love the complexity of that and how he's hinting at his deeper motivations again. It's just, it's so riveting. And I love his view of the Jedi Order because that's how I feel about it. And to finally feel like someone is expressing my point of view and then they're going to inevitably not be back in Star Wars sucks.
Yeah. My intrigue with this scene was him hinting at something more powerful that could be there, or that that Thrawn and them are fleeing potentially and stuff like that. Like he's can feel something on the planet or
that
whatever.
they can't control.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really intrigued on how deep that goes and if they're going to explore that at all or how that's going to go. It's really cool.
And I kind of wonder if you guys are right. Oh, sorry.
I just want to say, yeah, I'm curious as to what that is because I have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And what could be there.
Yep.
And I kind of feel like I can't remember if it was Captain or Anakin who said it first, but I kind of feel like you might be onto something where she feels like she might even potentially betray him.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
At some, it might be a little bit longer, but still, yeah, her kind of desire for power or grab for it. I kind of feel like they're leading into that this episode.
In this episode, I was thinking about, oh man, he's gonna leave, but then I was like, you know what? Maybe she'll bring back the power of 2 or whatever it is, where
the rule of 2.
The rule of 2, where the apprentice kills the master in order to become the.
Well, I mean, at this point, they are the rule of 2.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
So maybe that's how they'll take him out.
Yeah, maybe.
I love how he's not violent too. Even just again that calculatedness. But he sees the Raiders. He's like, oh, hold on. Let's see.
Yeah.
There's no use for useless bloodshed. Like he still has this kind
He's way more calm, calculated, and I like that. Where she's very much like reminds me of a Sith from the Old Republic times, who's just like kill everything, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my character in Tor. I have one character that is, we must kill as many people as possible. Another that's power. I want power, and to turn as many people to the dark side as possible. Anyway,
best way to deal with the situation is to kill it, right?
Yeah.
I need to play Tor again.
Yeah.
I'll play with you anytime.
All right, so we get to the big scene, the second biggest scene of the show, where we finally see Ezra. Now this is an interesting scene because for us, at least those of us who have seen Rebels, this is actually a really cool scene. And I thought that they cast Ezra pretty dang well perfectly. He feels like Ezra, he sounds like Ezra. He obviously an older looking one, but
yeah, that's interesting because I like him a lot, but he doesn't look like Ezra.
Well, to me, he does. It's just I think he would probably look like him if he got rid of the beard.
Yeah,
but because he has a beard.
You want to know what I thought when I saw him?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I thought he kind of looked like Space Jesus.
Me too! Me too!
I mean, he's a Jedi.
That's the vibe I got from him. I couldn't take him seriously.
I said that after the episode was over. I told Anakin, I was like, that looks like Space Jesus.
I mean, Ezra's always been kind of a joker, so I'm kind of interested to see how they handle his character moving forward. If he's going to be still kind of like a little bit of a kiddish joker, or more matured in his time in exile kind of guy. He seems
pretty kiddish.
Pretty still lighthearted for Ezra. So I'm hoping they kind of keep with that, like a little less what they did to Ahsoka. You know what I mean? But
it is kind of crazy that we're at this point, though. When you think about just like how long it's been to get to this, like the fact that like they're continuing a storyline this deeply and casting this character, it's pretty wild. Like I just never thought I would ever actually see that.
It is really neat because when was the last episode or the last season of Rebels? Was it like 4 or 5 years ago now or something like that? It's been a while.
Oh, it's longer than that, I think.
Oh, just look it up.
But it's been quite a while where Ezra's just been in limbo. Whatever happened to Ezra?
It ended in 2018, so 5 years ago.
Okay, yeah, but
this is a 10-year story. This is a 10-year story coming from 2014, though. That's crazy.
But so this also brings up a slight disappointment. It's a personal one. It's like I said, I think they cast Ezra perfect, and I'm excited to see where they take him. And like I don't have the same issues I have with Ezra that I did like Thrawn per se. But what I was just slightly disappointed about is I was hoping that maybe Enoch might have been Ezra, or Ezra, Thrawn had him turn to the dark side somehow, or was actually in league with Thrawn. I was hoping for a bigger twist, is what I mean.
I'm sure next
pleasantly
episode
and
we'll find
happily
out how he escaped.
I'm just happy that they didn't do that, because in some ways that's kind of overdone, in my opinion. Like, they do that so much that it's like, can they not have a happy moment? Like, have you ever watched TV? And it seems like every season they have to make people separate.
Yeah.
With some major issue. It's like, can we not have happy moments in television? So... Yeah. And in a way, I kind of agreed with Sabine when she was like, "Can we just be happy for a moment?" I was like, "Thank you."
Now, it is an interesting thing that he's not evil, he's just fine, and they're reunited. It's all happy, but there is a bittersweet thing to it because they're kind of still stranded. You know what I mean?
I don't always like.
Get out with Ahsoka.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't wait to go home. It's like, about that.
Yeah.
I am curious. I'm sure in the next episode we'll find out like how he escaped Thrawn, like how he's survived these 10 years. Because I am curious to know like what happened when they landed there.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get that. Super quick thing about Sabine. I usually don't think not every character needs a relationship. That doesn't need to be a storyline that happens. But I do ship Ezra and Sabine. Obviously, I've been building to it for so long that I do hope we get that in full fruition here. I hope we get that relationship.
That's also another reservation I have for this show, is that even all throughout Rebels, they had this on again, off again, kind of him trying to woo her and her shutting him down until the very end, where they sort of kind of got together, sort of, and then he sacrifices himself. And then now in this show, it's feeling like they're friend zoning each other for no reason.
Well, this is their very first meeting.
Well, even in the special message that he left her, he called her a sister, and
he also kind of said it in an awkward way as to maybe not
I don't know, man.
It just never comes back.
It just doesn't feel like it's going anywhere romantically, which is just kind of upsetting me a little.
Ironically,
I hope it does.
I hope it does too.
Yeah, I do too, because I want a good. I don't think we've had a romantic story since Disney has really taken over, have we?
Yeah, no. Except for if you want to count Rey and Kylo, which I don't.
No.
I ship them hard.
Weird.
No.
No, I ship them hard.
No.
No.
There's people that ship Ahsoka and Luke.
Wait, they're cousins?
That's it. It was more of a joke about the fact that he's a Skywalker, and then she claims to be a Skywalker.
Oh, okay, got it.
There's people
and she's more related to Palpatine, and so it's kind
they
of
are
because the Emperor created Anakin, so that's why I made the cousins too.
Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver are hot together. That's it.
There's people that ship Luke Ahsoka too. Stupid. Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, it's
I can get down with that.
It's more of a meme, but it's dumb. No,
thank you.
No, thanks. But this one for sure, 100%, because it was it was naturally developed over the course of 4 seasons, their relationship. And then
I will take a Visions episode with Luke and Ahsoka for sure. Yeah. I'm just to see what it's like out of curiosity before I fully commit. Who knows? You never know till you try it.
No.
That could be the pitch for next season.
Yeah. All right. So then, and at the end, what do you think about this Celine scene with Thrawn here? Do you think that it's hinting at more flashbacks or something? Because he's like, I want to know everything about her, her history, her master, everything.
Yeah.
Well, are we gonna get more Anakin?
Well, that's more traditional Thrawn. If you watch the show, he did the exact same thing with the Rebels crew, and that's how he beat them. So it's not surprising that he's like, oh, a new threat that I was not told of? Give me everything you want, or everything I need about them,
Yeah. I don't know that it'll be flashbacks, but I would not be surprised to see some flashbacks of Thrawn himself, though, on this planet and figuring out how he was able to make it this much.
It would be really cool if the opening scene of the next episode was a flashback to the moment they landed on this planet together.
Because
That'd be neat. Sorry, random thought.
I think that would be cool too.
I'm not sure how much Thrawn knows, because it's been a while since I've seen Rebels, but I guess he doesn't know much about Ahsoka, obviously. So when he finds out that Anakin was her master, like, how's that gonna go? Because he knows who Anakin and Darth Vader are.
He's one of the very few people that does. At least in the old EU. I don't know about the current canon.
I think he knows who Anakin and Darth Vader. I think he knows Anakin is Darth Vader. Yeah,
He does.
In both. Yeah.
Did
He does
figure
because of
that out, or
the
did he
books.
kind of like and not tell Vader, or did Vader?
Yeah, he figured it out in
it
new
out.
canon.
I know.
Did he ever tell Vader like I know who
So
you were? Like,
Vader
or-
would have
he
killed him,
actually-
wouldn't he?
He and Anakin met before he was Vader in the new books, and had this whole mission together. And so he was able to figure out his styles, his everything, and then he had a mission with Vader specifically in a later novel, and so he was able to recognize. Well, that was the same novel. It was combining the two missions, one with
I thought
Vader,
that
and
was
one with
Tarkin
Anakin.
that was like that.
No, it's Thrawn.
Because I know Tarkin was in several episodes.
That was Thrawn. That was in Thrawn
Clones.
Alliances, the second of the first Timothy Thrawn trilogy.
Okay, but I'm also
Timothy
talking
Thrawn.
about the Clone Wars TV show, which I know you don't care for. But
Oh,
that
I
is
like
Disney
it. I'm not
canon.
like crazy, but I like it.
I'm referencing.
Oh,
Anakin
Anakin.
here.
Okay.
You're gonna reel at me anytime I say the word Clone Wars. But
The
in that
Clone
show, there are several episodes with Tarkin in there, with
Yeah.
Anakin.
Yeah.
And so I know he figured it out
Mhm.
because of that reason. Like he had that connection, and later was like, this really strong Force user came out of nowhere, and one of the best Force users disappeared during the Purge.
Yeah.
I think I know who this is. You know.
Yeah.
Same,
It's not
same
that
idea.
difficult.
Same
Yeah.
idea with Thrawn, but he just doesn't know, I guess, that Ahsoka was his apprentice.
I'm just curious if Thrawn
Which
or
makes sense.
Tarkin ever just said, "Hey Vader, remember that time back in Clone Wars?" No. Or just make some mention of like, "I knew who you were, but you know, respect you still," or whatever. You know, how awkward of that conversation that could be with Vader.
Man,
I
I really hope we still get a Thrawn movie.
I think all this is going to culminate in that Dave Filoni movie that's going to bring everything together, and Thrawn's going to be the main bad guy.
I hope so.
I think it's all going to culminate in that movie that gets turned into a limited series.
Actually, they've changed. They said the Lando show is now a movie now. So
I know. I sent you that, didn't I?
Ooh.
yeah, I saw it
Yeah.
before you sent it to me, but yeah.
Okay. Well,
Is this young or old Lando?
Young Lando.
young Lando.
is the one with what's his face that played Lando in Solo.
Daniel Glover. Donald Glover.
Donald Glover, yeah. Yeah, anyway, that's the end of this episode. Any final thoughts before we get into our ratings and stuff?
Man,
I'm
I
looking
am
forward to the next ones.
Yeah, I'm finally pumped. I'm finally really, really excited.
This is what I've been waiting for. Like, I remember last episode, I was feeling so apathetic towards his show, and now I'm like so hyped.
She's only
I
hyped
en-
for Thrawn, though.
I
Well,
enjoyed the last
yeah.
episode quite a bit too, and so seeing the back half of these last two, I'm like, oh, okay. So the first half is still very, very meandering to me, but man, these last two have been pretty awesome.
I would say I think Ezra, other than looking like Space Jesus, I did like. I think he's well casted. I think he acted.
Yeah.
He definitely made me think he was Ezra.
Yeah.
And like you pointed out, even in the conditions that he was in, he seemed incredibly lighthearted.
Yeah.
Which is maybe a bit off to me. Like 10 years of being stranded, and did you not think for maybe at least once that this might be me for the rest of my life? That they may not find me, you know?
Yeah.
But no, he seemed incredibly chipper, and he's like, just like, oh, it took you long enough.
Well, I mean, maybe it's been so long that he, gave up and he knew this was his life, so he just made the best of it and found these
Yeah.
turtle people
I
and
mean-
bumming it with them. So,
And
Or
to be
maybe-
fair, if I could live with those turtle people for the rest of my days, I'd be like, you know what?
this ain't
It's a
bad.
peaceful life.
Yeah, it's
Once
a
I
piece.
figured out how their clothes worked, I think I could do it.
All right.
That said, though, maybe, being a Jedi, maybe he saw a Force vision of someone coming to rescue him, and therefore that gave him hope. And he just didn't know.
That's kind of an interesting idea. Yeah, I like that.
So, if that's the case, if he had that Force vision, and he's like, all right, I will get rescued, I just don't know when, that would probably give me a lot of hope and keep me going, too. So, that's the interesting about Jedi is that you have to twist in that fictional part with the real,
Yeah.
Because, if you weren't a Jedi and you were just a person, you probably would be as I described, probably getting lonely, being down, and probably going this. There's people that I can't talk to really well. This is probably me for the rest of my life, and and I was really young when I got to this point, so. But he may have had that vision, which in that case, that completely would change your perspective on your situation. So,
Nice. All right. So, final thoughts and ratings. Let's go with Tykoth first.
Yeah, I mean, I said it at the very beginning, but this is my favorite episode. It is like near perfect for me. Very, very happy to have a good Star Wars again. I feel back at home. I'm going to give it 9.5 out of 10. 0.5 knocked off only because it's Ahsoka's show and it's the best episode of the show and she's not in it. And that's probably more of an issue than 0.5 knocked off, but that's still what I'm doing.
I think it's a really fair rating.
I put mine up 0.5 because she's not in the show. All right. Kli'nah.
My initial rating after watching the show was a 9, and talking about it just makes me like it even more. But I'm gonna stick with a 9 so that because I'm hoping for even more improvement.
It's you knocked off 0.5 for turtles having clothes and another 0.5 for the stormtrooper mask.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, Cap.
This was a hard one for me to rate because I really liked it too. And I was trying to think of a number. And the thing is that I think it's actually a pretty well episode. And I was thinking, if Thrawn wasn't in here, what would I rate this episode? Because I had the issues with the lightsaber in that one fight. And just also technically Ahsoka was barely in this episode. Again, that goes back to, hey, she's not even in her own show if it's called after her. And so, honestly, I don't feel like this episode, as much as I loved it, to me didn't grab me as much as the previous episode did, with Anakin. And I have to admit that's partially due to me loving the prequels and all that. But I'm also a big fan of Thrawn. And he had a great entrance, but he hasn't done anything much yet, other than showing that he is indeed Thrawn, and he's very much acting like the character that he should be. So I found myself wanting to give it a 9, but I was like, am I saying this episode is just as entertaining as the previous episode? And the answer is not really, no. But at the same time, I did really like it because introduction of live action Thrawn and how many things they have done correct in this episode. I think this is really hard. I'm going between something like a 8 or a 9 because of that. I think you guys have really good, solid ratings as well. I think objectively speaking, there's not much wrong with this one. It's just I don't think it grabbed me as much. So. But at the same time, you know what? I'm going to give it a 9 just because Thrawn in himself brings a whole point.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'll give it a 9. So
All
Power
right,
to the Chiss
interesting.
ascendancy.
All right, so for me, you know my misgivings. They're very slight. Overall, this episode's freaking great. I love the tone. I love the setting. I loved every single scene with the bad guys. I loved that there was a lot less Ahsoka in this episode. I loved that. I loved Ezra. I loved Sabine finding Ezra. But just we had a whole lot of reveals and reunions and stuff like that in this episode that is really neat, and it still left room to breathe and kind of contemplate. In the darker, more intimate scenes with Balin and Shin were just absolutely great.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite scenes in the show.
Yeah.
And as well with the Chimera flying in was really, really cool. So, that all said, it's a 9. 9 for me.
Oh,
The
wow.
highest
Wow.
so far, yep. So,
The highest so
see.
far, and have you given anything a 9 since we
Nope.
started doing these?
I don't think so.
Wow. This is a new era for Star Wars.
Now, we should probably do an Andor review. Then there might be some more 9s in there.
That whole show is 9 and above, basically.
That whole show is at 10. Review done. Review done.
But yeah, I knew this is a very mixed opinion episode. We all had different takes on different things, which is really cool because usually we have similar takes. We just have different ways of approaching it. But
we all ended up at really high ratings.
all ended up at really high ratings because
yeah.
that's just how good overall this episode was.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to say a 9. Like, it was flickering between that and an 8.5, but
I could hear it in your voice when you said 9.
yeah, it's a 9.
But you realized hate is not the Jedi way.
Yeah, except I'm a Mandalorian and not a Jedi. So that should say something.
I think that shows that this was such a really well-written episode, and then what we're picking at here are minor things.
Oh yeah.
This isn't like season 3 of Mandalorian where there was humongous holes in the show.
Like, for me, it's all subjective, minor things that I wish they had done slightly differently or maybe changed here and there, but otherwise I didn't have as much of an issue with anything in this episode than
I think really the only objective thing I could probably point out that was bad was the lightsaber bouncing off the people.
I do kind of wonder if by the end of this season, if it's going to make me look more fondly back on everything as a whole too. As more cohesive. Because I've already, even after this one, I've started looking a little more fondly over the ones that I was really mad about. Not crazy fondly, but a little more. And I kind of wonder if it's going to continue to be that way. Releasing things episode by episode. I'm always for just binging it, so I kind of wish it just did that. But that's another argument.
Yeah.
We could do a whole, podcast episode just on that.
Just about binging versus wait week to week. Yeah, absolutely.
We really could.
I feel very passionate about this issue. I'm going to be an activist for this issue.
All right. Well, I think that'll wrap it up for us this week. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week, hopefully, for episode 7. We only got 2 episodes left, so there should be pretty big bangers, hopefully. So leave us a like and a comment. Tell us what you thought about this episode, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.